some of the attributes. So how to keep attributes. So the attributes, whatever you might have considered, either it can be in terms of objects. So when you are treating that attribute as an object, or when you can consider that as an object. So if, for example, if you want to consider a independent existence of any element, than using any of the values, then we call that as an object. That means whatever the variables, if you are not assigning any values, or if it has its own independence, then we call those as an object. Say for example, here if we take a boss refers to a class, if we are taking a class name as a boss, and salary has an attribute, so salary is having a value. Or if you are taking a phone number has a phone number has an attribute, again phone number has its own value, you cannot consider that as an object. That means we need to identify for which of the attributes it is having a values, which variables can be treated as an objects or an attributes. That has to be clearly mentioned. So in that case, we need to we need to identify whether it is an object or whether it is an attribute. Next, coming for a qualifiers. So I said we are using a we are trying to use a qualified. Qualifier is nothing but an attribute which we call it as a qualified attribute. So we are using this qualified attribute for referring some of the values which are available in a other class. Say for example, if we are taking a bank code, the bank code is a qualified attribute for a bank. So through the bank code, what we are trying to identify, we are trying to identify how many number of banks are there. So how many number of branches are there, which is a branch code. So everything has to be identified. So in a similar way, we are trying to identify how we can keep that has a qualified attribute. Say one more example we can take is an employee number. So when you say when you take an employee number, in terms of your DBMS, how you are looking an employee number or an employee ID, you are looking that employee ID has a uniquely identified, or you are identifying that employee ID has a primary key, right? But here in terms of a OMD, or when you are using in terms of a modeling, so what we are referring, this employee ID is an implicit attribute. So we can refer this implicit attribute as a qualified attribute to identify based on his employee ID, we can refer for which designation he is working for, or in which department that a particular employee is working for. To identify all these fine details, what we are using a qualified attribute. Next comes the name. So when we are taking an attributes, the attribute should be named properly. As we have a naming of a variables, right? It should begin with a letter. It should it can have a uppercase, or if you are using two different words, it should be separated with a hyphen or underscore. So like that, what we are trying to identify. Similarly, whatever the names that we are identifying, whatever the attributes that we are identifying, each and attribute, every attribute, it should have a proper naming. So that can be better model. So you cannot say has a department name or a company name. So whatever that we are taking, it deals with when you say a department name. Say for example, if you take a MCA department, the same MCA department is available in other colleges, right? So if you take a same accounts department, so accounts department may be available in a college, or it can be available in a banking system. It will be available in any IT companies. So it depends upon how we are trying to give a naming, in what context that the name is being used. That has to be identified clearly. Next thing is we need to have a identifiers. So how do we identify how do we use a object identifier? It should be unambiguous. It should be referring to an object when we are using a object oriented languages. So for this, what we are using, we are trying to list the list of attributes which are available depending upon a application domain. Say in this application, in a ATM application, what we can have a statement ID, we can have a account ID, we can have a bank code. So all these things can be referred as a banking, can be identified as a what can be taken as a identifiers. So when you are taking an class as an account, so the account code can be a genuine attribute. So what happens? We have two different types of accounts, right? One is a ST account and one is a savings account. So both the accounts have may be referred to identified from a checking account and SP account. So the account ID may be referring differently. So that what type of transaction that the customer is performing, depending upon a transaction, the transaction ID has to be generated. So transaction ID can be one of the attribute. That means we need to identify how differently the class is going to behave depending upon a object. So that has to be taken care. Okay. So next what we have attributes on association. So we know that association gives a relationship between two different classes. So whenever we are identifying a relationship between a two, we need to identify how the one attribute can be related to the other. One attribute of one classes can be related to the other class. What way we can fine tune the classes, that has to be identified. So when we are identifying these association, we need to identify whether the participation of attribute is completely. So whether it is a many to many association or whether it is a one-to-many association, that has to be clearly identified. So depending upon a multiplicity, what we are trying to identify, we are trying to identify how the attributes can be related from one class to another class, or how can we have an access of how can we have an access of these attributes. That has to be specified with one-to-one association or many-to-many association. So for example, if you are taking an association between a person and a club, so the attribute between a club and a person can be a membership date. So if a person is having a membership within that with that particular club, so when that person had taken a membership in that particular club, so what are the facilities that he is offering? So all these details can be identified based on a membership date. So this membership date can be an attribute that can give you a different fine details of a particular person. So that is how the attribute plays an important role. And next thing is internal values. So whatever the attributes that we have defined, so this attributes, whatever the values that we are trying to assign, so what happens, it can change the behavior of an object, either though it is invisible to the object which resides outside. So we need to eliminate all this analysis. Only if it is able to identify, when only if the objects are being identified with respect to their internal state, then we need to keep the fine detail. We need to keep all the details of the system. Next thing is the fine details. So when we are considering the fine details, so what happens? Some of the attributes can be taken as a minor attributes which may not be helpful throughout the modeling purpose. In that case, what we can identify, if we identify that is not required furthermore, so we can omit those kind of details. No need to fill all those details. It can be an optional. Next thing is discordant attributes. So when it comes for a discordant attributes, we need to identify how the attributes are how different from a class. So how it can be split in, how the same attributes can be split into a different class, whether there is some relationship between those two classes or mixing together with respect to the different classes, whether it is going to have some troublesome, that has to be identified. That means what, say for example, if I take a bank code, so the bank code may be available with respect to a consortium, it can be available with respect to the bank. So here the same bank code attribute will be available, may be available with respect to two different classes. So when it is appearing in both the classes, what we need to identify, we need to identify how the classes is going to have an effect, whether there is a wrong in any whether the model is going to be wrong, that has to be identified. So that is with respect to the discordant attribute. Next thing is a Boolean attribute. So we know that Boolean takes two different values, either a true or a false. So when we are considering the attribute, so it can be it may be in terms of a Boolean that we can call it as a Boolean attributes, which refers to the qualifiers as an association. So in this case, what we need to consider, we need to consider several aspects. Say for example, if you are taking a bank code and a card code, so both has to be present, right? So when you are using your cash card or a debit card, so how the transaction can be made with respect to this cash card, so it has to identify the bank code. So depending upon a bank code, it identifies for which bank the customer is holding a account. Depending upon a bank code, so what card code, it will identify the bank code. So once the bank code is being identified by the consortium, so what happens, it will send a verification for verification details of all of a particular customer when he is requesting for a transaction. So here both bank code and card code, we are calling that has a Boolean attributes to identify the validity of the customer or genuinity or the authorization of a customer. So those things has to be included. So that is about keeping the right attributes. So here there is a diagram. Okay, so this diagram, in a previous diagram yesterday, what I had explained, in that diagram we had not included any attributes, but in this diagram we are you can see we have added some attributes and some of them are qualified attributes. Are you able to see the diagram? Are you able to see the diagram, Amit?
Yes, ma'am.
So here what we have in a ATM class model, in this case study, what we are using a consortium has a one particular class, and the consortium has a qualified attribute that we call it, we are referring the bank code has a qualified attribute. So here you can observe in this diagram we have also used a multiplicity. Okay, so one bank code can refer 0 to 1 bank name. That means what, a bank code refers to only one particular single bank. Okay, so this bank, again you can see the bank has a attribute called as a bank name. So along for this bank name, what are the other qualified attributes that we can have? So it can have a station code, employee code, account code, and a card code. So we need to identify how many different types of accounts are available with respect to that particular bank. So how do we refer that? Through the qualified attribute that we call it as a account code. So through the account code, we are trying to refer the account. So in the account, you can see there are various different types of attributes. So one is a balance, credit card limit, and a type. So all these attributes we are calling it as an attribute because it can have a different types of values. It cannot be an object. So that is how we are trying to name the attributes. So from the account class, what we have, so one customer can have n number of accounts. That means the same customer can have a single account, he can have a joint account, he can have a FD account, RD account, right? So there can be different accounts that can be opened by a particular customer in a same branch. So that's the reason here what we have a n number of accounts that are available with respect to that particular customer. So when it comes to the customer class, again we need to add some of the attributes for a customer. So the main thing that a bank want to identify the customer is name of a customer and the address of the customer. Okay, so after this you can see this bank has a different qualified attributes. So this card code is being connected to the cash card. That means we are trying to relate the I said boolean attributes, right? So when we are taking a boolean attributes, we need to refer for a bank code and a card code. So when a customer want to utilize when a customer um, when the customer want to utilize the cash want to make a transaction with respect to an ATM. So that's the reason to have a connectivity between a bank and a cash card. We are trying to use a qualified attribute called as a card code. So through the this card code is being referred to a particular bank, and this card code is an attribute of a cash card. So and this cash card it has to be authorized. So how it is being authorized? So it will be the association between a remote transaction and a cash card. You can see here authorized by. That means so to if a customer want to make a transaction using a cash card, he need to get the authorization. So that authorization will be given for that particular cash card through the bank. So that is how the connectivity is association is being established from a remote transaction to the cash card and to the bank. And next, when it comes for a there are one more class called as a cashier. The bank employs a cashier. So the cashier is being identified with the name of a cashier. Okay, so it is a here the cashier can be taken as a manual where the cashier is going to enter all the transaction details to the system. So he is going to enter all the cash transaction to the system. So to enter the cash transaction, whatever the transaction that has been made by the particular customer, so to identify that transaction, so what we are using the account. So one account can have n number of transaction. So that is being related here. So what type of cash transaction? Whether it is a kind, that means it is a cash transaction. So if the customer is performing a cash transaction, so on what date, at what time that the customer has made a transaction. So whether he has done a withdrawal, how much of amount he has made a withdrawal, all these details has to be entered. So that's the reason all these things will be taken as an attribute. So next we have a cashier transaction and a cashier station. So one cashier station can one cashier station we can have n number of cashier transaction that can be perform. So here the association between a cashier transaction and a cashier station is entered on. So whatever the transaction that a particular customer is going to perform, it will be based on a cashier station. So all the details has to be entered. And next comes to from the cashier station, you can see it has been associated with the bank computer. So whatever the transaction that a customer is performing in any ATM, those details has to be updated to the banking computer, right? So if the details are not updated to the bank computer, then what happens? There will be an inconsistent data. So to avoid that inconsistency of the data, what has to be done? So as soon as a customer makes a transaction with any cashier station or any ATM station, those details has to be communicated to the bank computer. So here the association we have taken, it has a communicates with the bank computer. So how the bank computer, how it will enter all these fine details to the bank computer? By using a station code. So you can see that station code is being directly connected to the cashier station from the bank. So it will identify for which bank that a customer is having an account. So it will map that the station code and the banking computer and the corresponding account. So after mapping all these things, then what happens? Whatever the transaction details that a particular customer has done, so all these details will be fed to the bank computer. So once it is being how it will how all these details will be connected, because this bank computer is being connected to the particular bank. That means each and every bank has its own server. It will be updated in its corresponding bank server. Okay. So next what we have a one more class called as a ATM. Okay. So in ATM, whatever the details that a particular customer is performing through the cash card, so all these things, remote transaction will be authorized. Everything will be done with respect to the remote transaction. So how much of amount that a customer has drawn on what date, everything will be entered. So he will receive the cash on hand. So why we are taking cash on hand as an attribute? Because ATM will dispense only the cash to the customer. So we have taken only one attribute for a ATM class. So from the ATM class, we are using a it has been associated with the central computer. Again, how the central computer will be identified? So it will be identified with respect to the station code. So whatever the transaction that a particular customer is doing with respect to any ATM, so it will identify the particular bank with respect to the station code. So through the station code, so what happens? It will communicate all the details to the central computers. Again, you can see here the central computer has a qualified attribute called as a bank code. So through the bank code, what happens? All the details will be entered to the bank computer and it will be available to the bank. So that is how we are trying to model the ATM class with respect to the attribute. That means whenever we are trying to use a attribute, so we can minimize the many to many association. So to reduce the many to many association, what we are trying to use? We are trying to use with respect to the qualified attribute. So next thing is we can also use a concept of inheritance, right? So when we are using the inheritance, we can it serves a three purpose: reduction of code, introduction of a polymorphism, and giving a description of a, or structuring the object. So these are the main three different purpose of a inheritance. So when we are using the inheritance, there are different ways or different ways of using the inheritance. So the first thing way of utilizing the inheritance concept is bottom-up approach. So here bottom-up generalization. So what we are trying to identify, we can have different classes with respect to the similar attributes, operations, or association. So whatever the uh, child class is going to use, the same attributes can be defined in a super class to share a common feature. Say for example, here we can take a remote transaction and cashier transaction are similar. So here what happens? They both the classes can have a one can be defined with respect to one super class. So that is how we are trying to use a bottom up generalization. So next thing is top down specialization. So when it comes for a top down specialization, so first what we are identifying, say for example, if you are taking the lamp has a one particular class. So there are, you can divide the lamp into different types of lamps. So one is a fluorescent lamp and one is a incandescent lamp. And if you are taking a menu, so whether the menu can be a pop-up menu bar or whether it can be a sliding menu bar or it can be a scrolling. So that the way of representation of information, it depends upon a non-phrases. So how we are trying to utilize the generalization. So that comes for a top-down specialization. And next, one more way of using is, we need to have a differentiation between a generalization and the enumeration. So when it comes for enumeration, so the enumeration we can say it, in other object oriented languages, what we are calling the enumeration, we are calling it as a data type. So what happens in our enumeration, we are trying to list whatever the values are there, we are trying to list all the possible set of values in a parenthesis. So that is what we call it as a enumeration. So we need to identify when to use a uh, when to use a enumeration and when to use a generalization. So when you want to have a list of values or a, when you want to try to list it out all the values, then what we are trying to use, we need to try to we need to include all the list. So that is how we are trying to utilize that is how we are trying to use a enumeration. But when it comes for a generalization, so what we are trying to identify, we are trying to identify the properties of a superclass, which are the attributes that has to be inherited, or operations or association that can be inherited to the subclasses, that has to be identified. Okay, so in the example that we are taking, it has an ATM account. So for that ATM account, we are classifying it as a two different types of account. One is a checking account and one is a savings account. So these two can be taken as a enumeration list, because when you are having a different tabs, so those different tabs can be made as a listing. So those listings we are calling it as a enumeration. So next thing is multiple inheritance. So when it comes for a multiple inheritance, so it increases the properties of sharing all the values. Either it can be in terms of both the conceptual or with respect to the implementation, that we need to look into it, how the multiple inheritance can be utilized. Next thing is a similar association. So we need to identify whether there are any similar association between the other two classes. If there are similar types of association, then we need to generalize that has a common association. Next, we need to adjust the level of inheritance. That means too many, rather than carrying it of too many association. Then what we need to do? We need to identify. We need to identify how many attributes are there, how many types of associations, how many different associations are there. So whether it is belonging to the superclass and the child class. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to reorganize the entire class model in such a way that it should come in terms of a class hierarchy. So that is the way to have an organization of a class. So in the same case study, so this is a diagram where we are trying to use the attributes and the inheritance. So we had taken we have taken here we are using the concept of inheritance. Say here we have taken a class called as a entry station. When it comes for a entry station, what we are using, we are categorizing into two different classes. So one is a ATM and one is a cashier station. So there are two different types of station. Okay. So when it this entry station is again associated with the transaction, because customer can perform a transaction either through the ATM station or through the cashier station. That's the reason this entry station class is being associated with the transaction station. So the association name is entered on. So when the transaction is going to perform by a particular customer, that date and time has to be taken into the consideration. That's the reason what we are using. We are using the enter on. So when it comes for a transaction, we are using the kind, date and time, and the amount has a three different attributes. So again, the transaction can be identified as a cashier transaction and a remote transaction. So the remote transaction comes for a ATM because ATM is a network. Next, it is a cashier transaction. So when it comes for a cashier transaction, so all this transaction will be entered by the cashier, and we need to identify who is going to enter. So the cashier is being identified with respect to his or her name. Okay, next, this cashier class is being connected to the bank class. So this again bank class is having an attribute name, station code, employee code, card code, and the account code. So whoever a cashier is going to enter the details. So these each and every employee is being identified with the cashier name, and the bank is going to employ that cashier, and this cashier is being identified with the employee code. So when it comes for a card code, so each and every transaction is being identified. The bank the ATM card is being identified with the card code, so that it is being related to the cash card. And to perform a remote transaction, so what happens, he should get an authorization. So that authorization will be given by the bank. So that is how the card code is being connected to the bank. Next, what we have a account code. So this account code is being again connected, is being associated with the account. Again, this account is being associated with the transaction, because the transaction will be done based on the availability of the account code, whether he is performing through the savings account, or whether it is being taken with respect to the savings account or a checking account. So next, we have a list of banks. So each and every bank in a list will be identified through the bank code. So all this consortium is being composed of a bank code, or is an aggregation of a bank code. So this bank code is a qualified attribute which is being associated with respect to the bank, and this bank is being connected to the bank computer. And again, The central computer communicates to the respective bank based on a bank code. And this ATM will dispenses a cash based on a station code. So that is how we are trying to utilize the uh, concept of generalization and the generalization attributes and the inheritance concept in a case study. And next thing is iterating the model. So when we say a iteration of a class model, so what we need to identify, there are different ways of iterate, there are different signs of iterating the class model. That means you have seen a representation of a ATM class. So in the first model, what we have taken, just we have taken only the names of the class and we have given an association. In a second class, what we have taken, we have introduced the attributes, we have introduced the qualified attributes. So after introducing all this concept into the class model, so how the working of the system is going to happen, so that we have observed. So if we are not using the, if we are trying to use a concept of inheritance, so how we can simplify the entire model that we have seen in a previous diagram. So that revision of these models, what we call it as a iterating a class model. So when we are trying to iterate a class model, so what happens, there are several signs that can be of a missing class. So when we are trying to model, some of the classes may be missed or some. So what are the different reasons for missing of all these classes? So first thing is asymmetric in association and generalization. So when we are trying to add a new classes or new type of association, or if we are trying to bring a generalization, so the generalization giving inheriting the property of superclass to the child class may be a to a different classes. So there can be a missing of classes. So that is one of the reason. Next thing is differently attributes and operations on a classes. So here what happens, when we are trying to split a class into each part, so there can be a coherent, there can be a similar types of classes. So when there are similar type of classes, there may be a repetition of same attributes. Next thing is difficulty in generalizing. So here what happens, so one class may be playing the two roles. So it can be, say for example, if you are taking a transaction, so the transaction or a account class belong is being associated with respect to bank and a transaction. Okay, so the customer is being identified with respect to an account which belongs to a particular bank. So that is how we are trying to identify like a dual role. Next thing is duplicate the associations with the same name and a purpose. That means we need to identify if there are any missing superclasses are there. So that superclass has to be added, and we need to generalize the concept, and we need to bring the properties to the child classes. Next thing is a role that substantially shape the semantics of a class. So it should be separated in terms of a classes. That means, say for example, a person can be employed by several companies, and he can have a different conditions based on a employment. Say for example, a person can be working in two different companies. One company he may be a part-time, or in another company he can be a full-time employee. So it depends upon what type of role he is playing in two different companies. Next thing is missing the access path for the operation. So when it comes for a missing path for an operation, we need to identify where the association, where we have not provided an association, in what way we need to identify. And next thing is missing access path for an operation. So we have discussed the navigation of classes from one class to the another class. So if we want to have an access of an operation or an attribute of another class, what we need to have, we need to have a proper navigation. So when there can be an access path can be missed or an operation can be missed, when we are not able to have a traversal or when there is a missing classes. So that has to be identified. So next thing is lack of attributes, operations, and an association. So that has to be identified. Next thing is we need to identify the redundant information. So if there are any repetitive information are there, so those repetitive information can be taken either in terms of a subclasses or it can be indicated in terms of a enumeration. And next thing is association end names. So whatever the association end names that we are trying to provide with respect to a modeling, that can be either too broad or it can be a too narrow. It depends upon what type of classes are there. So next thing is need to access an object by its own attribute. That means what we need to identify the qualified attribute. So once the qualified attribute and the qualified association is being identified, we need to identify how the paths can be constructed, how we can have an access to the values or what are the different updates are available. So uh, how we can make a step-by-step development with the proper detail that has to be identified. So next thing is what we have is a testing the access path. So we have a different classes that we have represented in a class model. So when we are trying to have an access to the class model, so we need to yield the sensible information. We need to indicate what are the missing informations are there. All those missing information has to be included. So it can be in terms of acceptable or it can be in terms of a disconnected classes. So next what uh, we have a one more model. So in this model, it is a revision of a previous model. So here what we have an entry station. Again, it is a super class. Again, it is being classified into two different classes, ATM class and a cashier transaction class. Next, what we have a consortium. We have a consortium. So for this ATM class, what we have, it is being identified with respect to your cash on hand. Again, further revision what we have. So again, here we are using a composition. So this transaction class is being composed of a update. So this again, whatever the updations that a customer is making, whatever the transaction that is being made, so that has to be updated. So how it will be updated? So again, this update class is being associated with the account class. Again, this account class is being associated with the customer class. So the customer has a cash card and that cash card is being associated with respect to the customer. To have a to identify the particular customer, we need to have a card authorization, and this card authorization will be provided with the password. So that password will be entered by the customer, and the cash card has a serial number to have an access or to uniquely identify the account number of a particular customer. And this card authorization will be provided by the bank. So how the card authorization will be given by the bank? So through the card code. So this card code will be available on a cash card, and that cash card is being associated to the customer. And to activate that card authorization, so that will be that is a responsibility of a bank. Again, this bank will employ a cashier and he will be identified with the unique employee ID. So that is how we are trying to have a revision of classes. So next what we have a shifting of level of abstractions. So shifting of level of abstraction, we are identifying it based on a nouns and verbs, giving a proper problem description. So here what we are identifying, say in this example what we have a original model and a improved model. So here it is based on a employee details. So the employee can be a one manager. So one manager is managed by n number of one manager manages n number of supervisors, and all the one supervisor will have a n number will be assigned as a n number of individual coordinators. So this is a model. So the entire model can be reframed or can be identified with respect to the reframed with respect to the model. So all this thing, all the manager, supervisor, and the individual contributor can be called as a person. So we have a person class. So we have a employee type or a reporting level. So we have a employee type. So the employee type can be a manager, supervisor, or an individual uh, coordinator. So the reporting level is, so the individual coordinator will be reporting to the supervisor. Again, that supervisor will be reporting to the manager. So that is how we are trying to indicate the employee type and the reporting level. So for this, the association can be with respect to the same class. So the person can be a play a role of a boss who can manage a n number of workers. So that is how we are trying to represent a model. So do you have any doubts with respect to this concept, Seema? Any doubts? Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to discuss on a domain state model, how to have a domain, how we are trying, what are the different steps of having a construction of a domain state model. Okay, so again, it is an important concept which you may get for 8 to 16 marks. Okay, any doubts, Seema, Sadev? Okay, tomorrow at 10:45 I will take a class. Okay.